Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this subject. I'm Mr. Jonathan Pinolillo, and I will be your translation professor. Okay, today we're going to talk about what is translation. So let's have a look here. A moment, please. Now, here we are. What is translation? So in short words, in few words, translation is the process of converting or transferring a message, a text, from one language to another. For example, it's the process of transferring information from English into Spanish or from Spanish into English. There are two main approaches in the translation process. The first one is the human translation, and the second one is the machine translation. So, what's the difference between these two? Human translation use human translator, and the advantages of human translation is that the translators understand the real meaning of the message. They can recognize sarcasm, humor, double meaning of the message, something that machine can't do. And advantages of machine translation is that machine translate faster than human. Now, talking about the translation technique or techniques of translation, we have two different parts. The first part are the direct translation techniques. Here we had borrowing. What's mean borrowing? So, borrowing is take one word from the source language to the target language. For example, the word internet. We take or we borrow this word into Spanish. So we had internet. We don't translate the word internet into Spanish. Another example, the word short. So we know that we had the expression pantalones cortos, but we don't use always this expression. We say short, okay? The next one is calqued or loan translation. It's similar to borrowing, but in this case, we copy an expression from the source language to the target language. For example, expression Adam's apple into French, it becomes pont d'Adam. And the third one is literal translation. Okay, literal translation, it's when we literally translate word by word from the source text to that target language. For example, Peter is happy. Peter está feliz. Or the kids play football. Los niños juegan fútbol. So we translate literally word by word from the source text to the target language. Then we had oblique translation techniques. And here we had four main techniques. The first one is transposition. What's mean? Transposition is the process of change the order of the word from the source language to the target language or the word class. A verb in the source text could become a noun in the target language, or maybe the order. The adjective in English go first, then the noun. But in Spanish, first we write the noun and then the adjective. For example, the red car, in Spanish, el auto rojo. She likes singing using the ing. We don't translate ella gusta cantando. We say in Spanish, a ella le gusta cantar. Okay, we change the ing verb in Spanish, the infinitive verb, cantar. Okay, then we had modulation, and when we try to adapt the third language, the expressions of words in the third language to the target language. Okay, and the third technique is reformulation or equivalence. We look for an equivalent expression or reformulation into the third text, the third language to the target language. And here it's common to see idiomatic expression of proverbs. For example, the idiom, it's raining cats and dogs. In Spanish, we don't translate está lloviendo perros y gatos. We can say está lloviendo a cántaros. So we look for an equivalence expression in the target language. Finally, the fourth technique is adaptation or cultural substitution. And here you, as a translator, as future translator, must be very careful to adapt the message from the served language to the target language. Or maybe you have to explain what the expression or the word in your served source language means, and try to explain in the target text, in the target language. And here is very special to see holidays. For example, here in Bolivia, we had the Aymara New Year, el Año Nuevo Aymara, that English countries don't have this holiday. So you can look for a similar holiday, or you have to explain what this holiday means, okay? So finally, there are many types of translation. We had business translation, documental translation, history translation, legal translation when we translate documents, titles, etc. We also had financial translation, literary translation when we translate novels, stories, books, okay, and so on. So I hope you the best. I wish you the best in this subject, and see you next class.